Hey guys, in today's lesson, we're going to start learning how to factor trinomials in the form x squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so this is one of the lessons that I actually remember from when I was in school. This what can be really tricky especially if you do not know your multiplication facts. So if you don't know your multiplication facts, you might really struggle with this. All right, so I'm just going to jump down to the examples or to the problems and kind of work through them with you. So the goal here, these are all trinomials, which means there are three terms, okay? And these don't have a common factor that you can pull out of all three terms. You're trying to factor it into like x plus 3 times x minus 7. So you want two factors, two sets of parentheses, something times something. All right, so let's look at this one. We've got x squared plus 4x plus 3. Here's what you're going to do, okay? You're going to look at the 3. You're going to look at, that's called the constant term, the term that doesn't have an x or a variable hooked onto it. So in this case, that's 3. So then you're going to come over here to the side, and you're going to write the factors of 3 as blank times blank. Well, the only way to multiply two numbers together to get 3, and I'm talking whole numbers, is to do 1 times 3. So that tells me when I factor this out, I'm going to have two sets of parentheses, right? So x plus or minus something times x plus or minus something. So I've got it there. Well, I'm going to have to multiply and get 1 and 3. I'm going to have to do 1 times 3 to get 3. So I know it's going to end in a 1 and end in a 3. Look at the middle term. It's a 4. Okay, so I want to multiply so that that when I add the terms together, I get a 4. Well, 1 times 3 is 3, and 1 plus 3 is 4. So this should be x plus 1 times x plus 3. Now, I can double check that, right, by multiplying it out. So if you go back, remember when we drew the box, x plus 1 times x plus 3. So that's x squared, 1x, 3x, and 3. When I add all of that together, I get x squared plus 4x plus 3. Okay, so that's it. It's going to be x plus 1 times x plus 3. Confused? Maybe. Let's do another one. Let's look at number 4. So I've got x squared minus x minus 6. I can't take anything out of all three terms. I know it's going to be x plus or minus something times x plus or minus something else. So I'm going to get that ready. Then my constant term is a negative 6. Don't worry about the negative sign just yet. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to list out the factors of 6. So start simple. 1 times 6, and then the only other one is 2 times 3. Now, since I have more than one pair of factors, I want the pair that's going to give me, look at my middle term, that is a negative 1x. So I want to be able to add these two numbers in such a way that I get a negative 1. Well, if I do 1 plus 6, I get a 7. And if I do 1 plus negative 6, I'd have a negative 5. If I did negative 1 plus 6, I'd have a positive 5. So that's not going to work. 2 plus 3 is 5, okay? But 2 plus negative 3 is negative 1. So that's the pair of factors that I actually want. So I'm going to circle those. I'm going to use the 2 and the 3. So now I'm going to drop in the 2 and the 3, okay? So I know I'm going to use those two terms. The other thing, we said we wanted to have, it was going to be 2 plus negative 3. So I need negative 3 and then positive 2. That's it. And then we could double check this by multiplying that back out, and we end up with x squared minus x minus 6. Let's do another one. Go to number 7. Okay, so it's going to be, my variable this time is c. So c plus or minus something times c plus or minus something. So get your parentheses ready. look at your constant term, which is a 12. List out all the factors of 12, starting with 1 times 12. Then go in order. 2 times 6, then it would be 3 times 4. Okay, now we're looking for a pair of factors that, when added, will give me a negative 4. So let's think here. Is there any way that I could do a 1 and a 12 and get a 4? No, but the 2 and the 6, I can get a negative 4. 3 and 4, no. So I already know that the pair of factors I'm going to use is that 2 and that 6. Well, I want to get negative 4. 2 plus negative 6 is negative 4. So think about what I just said. 2, positive 2 plus negative 6. So that's how I knew where to put the signs. So it would be C plus 2 times C minus 6. If you had written minus 6 first and then the plus 2, would that make a difference? No. But that negative sign has to be with the 6 or the minus, and the positive sign or plus sign has to be with the 2. So that is what C squared minus 4C minus 12 would factor into the quantity C minus 6 times the quantity C plus 2. Let's go straight down to number 10. So I already know it's going to be x plus something times x minus something. 5 is my constant term. The only factors of 5 are 1 and 5. So it has to be a 1 here and a 5 here. I'm trying to add up to 6. 1 plus 5 is 6. So it'd be positive 1 and a positive 5. That's it. Okay, let's keep going. Number 13. So I'm going to do x plus or minus something times x plus or minus something else. So I've got a 3. Well, again, the only factors of 3 are 1 times 3. So it's 1 and 3 there. Now, be careful here, though. We want to get a 2, and this should be negative, right? So let's think about we want to have a negative 2. 1 plus negative 3, I'll write it down here, is going to give me negative 2. So that's plus, and that's a minus. That's it. So it'd be x plus 1 times x minus 3. And double check, 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. So we're good. Okay, let's do 16. So I'm going to get my parentheses ready. All right, my constant term is a 20. So we're going to come and list out all the factors of 20. 1 times 20, 2 times 10, and 4 times 5. Okay, so those are all the factors of 20. And then we want a pair that would add up to 12. So it looks like that 2 and 10. 2 plus 10 would make positive 12. So positive 2 and a positive 10. Okay, so it's going to be x plus 2 times x plus 10, and that's it. Now we're going to look at one more, looking at number 19. Now this one we've got an x squared plus 2xy plus y squared. So this one is a little tricky. So let's start off with the x's. Okay, and so if you look, where the constant term would be is really just y squared. Well, y squared I only know of as y times y. If I do y plus y, don't I end up with a 2y? Yes. So I'm going to put a y here and a y here. And so what about that x? That one is looking a little tricky, right? Let's test this out. It should be x plus y times x plus y. So whenever you're in doubt, let's double check by multiplying using that box method. So if I do x plus y times x plus y, I get x squared. That's xy, that's xy, and that's y squared. So I get x squared and then 2xy plus y squared, which is what I had to begin with. So this works. It factors into x plus y times x plus y. All right, so you definitely need to practice now. So just like I've done in a previous lessons, I'm just going to let you do this middle column. And there's no need for you to do the third column unless you just want to practice. but I do want you to write the word skip over it so that when I'm checking, I don't forget. So go ahead, pause the video, and do the middle column now. Okay, guys, so now you need to check over your answers. So you should see 2, 5, 8, and 11. So pause the video and check those now. Okay, and 14, 17, and 20 now. Okay, and you can see with number 20, I double-checked my work down here by multiplying that a minus 2b times a minus 2b to make sure it worked out. So you can always double-check your work by multiplying the polynomials. All right, so now we're going to go to the next page. And on the next page, this is just solving equations by factoring like we did in a previous lesson, except for this time you're going to deal with trinomials. You have to factor them and then solve. So we're going to skip right down to the exercises. So let's look right here at number 1. So it says to solve each equation and to check over your solutions. So number 1, the equation is x squared minus 4x plus 3, which is equal to 0. So it's already set equal to 0. So if I factor it, then I can do what I did in the previous lesson, right? So let's go ahead. If I'm going to factor this, I need to list out the factors of 3, just like I did on the last page. So it'd be 1 times 3. So this is going to be x, and that's an x, and it would have to be, I want a negative 4, so that has to be minus 1 and minus 3. X minus 1 times x minus 3 would be the factors, and then set it equal to 0, right? So when I solve this, x minus 1 is 0, or x minus 3 is 0. So then x is 1 or 3. So the solution set, there are 2 solutions, right? So, and the solutions are 1 and 3. That's it. All right, we're going to go to number 4. Now, this one isn't already set equal to 0. So I'm going to do that now. Now, I don't like to have my x squared term be negative because that makes things complicated. So I'm not going to subtract x squared on both sides. I'm going to subtract the x on both sides and subtract the 2. So on my right side, I'm left with nothing, so 0. Now I'm going to factor it. Well, the factors of 2 are just 1 and 2. So this is going to be x, that's an x. I know it's a 1 and a 2, and I'm trying to get a negative 1. So 1 plus negative 2 would give me negative 1. Okay? So that means that either x plus 1 is 0 or x minus 2 is 0. So x is negative 1 or 2. So there's my solution set. All right, let's go to problem 7. I've got c squared minus 8 equals negative 7c. Again, if I want to solve it, I need it all on the same side to be equal to 0. So I'm going to add the 7c on both sides. And notice I put it right here in the middle instead of at the end. And the reason I did that is because when we're dealing with those trinomials, when we're factoring, which I know I'm going to have to do, you need the c squared term first, then the c in the middle, and then the constant term at the end. Okay, so I'm going to get ready to factor. And I'm going to list out the factors of 8. 1 times 8, 2 times 4. So there's more than one pair here. And I want the pair that would give me a 7. So if I do, and it's supposed to be a positive 7. So if I do negative 1 plus 8, I end up with positive 7. Negative 1 plus 8. So it would be c minus 1 times c plus 8. So either c minus 1 is 0 or c plus 8 is 0. So c is either 1 or negative 8. So there's my solution set. Let's do number 10. Same pattern. So I'm going to subtract the 5x. So it'll be x squared minus 5x plus 6 is 0. List the factors of 6. 1 times 6 and 2 times 3. Now, I want the pair of factors that's going to give me a negative 5. This one's tricky, so you need to be careful. So I can either do 2 plus 3 to get negative 5, right? Negative 2 plus negative 3 would give me a negative 5. Or I can do 1 plus negative 6 to get a negative 5. So which one do I use? Well, when I multiply, I want them to be positive. So this would have to be a 1 plus a negative 6. When I multiply those two together, I end up with a negative 6, not a positive 6. Here, I would be doing negative 2 plus negative 3, which is negative 5. When I multiply negative 2 and negative 3, I would get a positive 6. So that's the pair that I want, the 2 and the 3, negative 2 and negative 3. So that'd be x minus 2 times x minus 3 equals 0. So x minus 2 is 0, or x minus 3 is 0. So x would be 2 or 3. Okay, let's do one more. So 13, I'm going to move everything to the left side because I don't want to subtract the x squared on both sides because it makes it more difficult if the x squared term is negative. So x squared, I'm going to add the 10x on both sides, subtract the 24 on both sides. There we go, equals 0. All right, we're going to list out the factors of 24. So 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, and 4 times 6. And then we're going to look for a pair that would give us a 10, positive 10. Well, I have 2. Because I could do negative 2 plus 12 to give me positive 10. I could also do 4 plus 6 to give me positive 10. So which one do I use? Well, whichever one I use, I want them to multiply together to give me a negative 24. Okay, well, if I do positive 4 times positive 6, do I get negative 24? No. So 4 times 6 is not the one I want. It has to be the 2 and the 12. So that's going to have to be a negative 2 and a positive 12. So now I'm ready. X minus 2 is equal to 0, or x plus 12 is equal to 0. So x can be 2 or negative 12. Okay. Now it's your turn. I'm going to have you just do this middle column again. Okay, 2, 5, 8, 11, and 14. We are going to skip the third column. And I'm also going to have you skip 16 through 18. We're going to skip past those today too. All right, so I want you to pause the video and do that middle column. Okay guys, so now you're going to check over your work. So you should be able to see 2, 5, 8, and 11. So pause the video and check those now. Okay, and there's 14. Okay, so remember to write the word skip over top of the problems that I told you to skip. You should have shown your work for everything. You should have made any corrections that you needed to your problems. If you have any questions or need me to clarify anything, you need to see me so that I can address those. I'm happy to help. All right, for now, go ahead and turn this in and get started on your independent practice.